welcome to Spark Rugby League. We're going to talk about cannonball tackles in particular today, after the recent hit by Ben Fowler on Matthew Staunton, the Hull KR prop. Now, it's an interesting topic. Fowler got a 2-game ban, a punishment a lot of people didn't think were worthy. Now, Paul, you were at the game. Firstly, what did you make of the tackle, and do you think there needs to be more to cut it out, and also should Ben Fowler have been given a longer suspension?
Well, I certainly think that the punishment was lenient. I was at the game, and as soon as he went in on the knees, wasn't it, from behind, it just didn't look good. I mean, he's not. I think it's been September. He's been out since, so this is his first game back. And he'd just come on. I think he'd just come on the field, and it was nasty. Obviously, I was sat with a lot of the guys from Hull, the commentators from BBC Humber and all, and they were shocked. They were honestly, they were fuming, and rightly so. To be honest, I think the referee I think it's only the second time he's coached Wigan. I think maybe a little inexperienced, but obviously they've all got to start somewhere. But I've got no problem with that. I think he put it straight on report. I do think there's a warrant for a yellow card. Maybe it's for Flower again. It was certainly a bad one. I think two games was lenient. It was a nasty one. I mean, I don't know about intent. I'm not sure there was any intent there. There's only one person who knows that, I suppose, really. I mean, we know Flower's got a bad rap. He's a really good lad. It's a shame that he's going to be remembered at the end of his career for the wrong reasons, unfortunately, as we know things that have happened in the past, a certain incident in the past.
Well, I think the biggest thing from that is obviously Staunton's following that tackle is limped from the field, and he's going to be out for longer than what Flower is now for Wigan, isn't he? So I think, do we need to perhaps review the way that rule is interpreted?
I don't know about the rule itself, but for me the tackles are the worst that we have in the game. I really do think that. You look at high tackles, shoulder charges, maybe spear tackles, a lot of which can come by accident, perhaps not a shoulder charge, but spear tackles a lot to do with the momentum and the weight of players. High tackles can be clumsy, but for me, the cannonball tackles are calculated. You know, when you've got a player that's been held up by two players from the opposition, you know, there is time for you to think about what the right thing to do is there, and how you're going to impact that tackle, and to throw yourself at the lower leg for me is just it's cowardly, and it's there's intent behind it. I know you said there's probably no intent from Flower, and I'm not saying that Flower purposely tried to injure Staunton, but he surely knew what the risk was of him flying in at the knee. You know, that's something that you, as a player, must be able to think, especially because of the time that you get to make that decision. It's not like a high tackle where, for example, someone steps back on the inside and you throw a lazy arm out. You know, you've got time there to assess the situation that's happening in front of you. You've got a player that's being held up by two of your teammates, and to throw yourself at the knee or the lower leg for me is just criminal. And I think it's the worst tackle that we've got in the game. It really is.
It's not nice. It looks like, I mean, obviously tackles to the head are the most dangerous because they're they could possibly paralyse somebody, but I mean that's not intentional. But I do agree, the horrible tackles to watch, and it was. I must admit, I was a bit shocked watching it. I just thought, well, there's no need to do that. It wasn't even going anywhere, and I think there was one from Patterson a couple of minutes earlier than that as well, and he's up to the panel because he's been a grade D, so he's looking at 4 or 5 games, and so we have to say that. I mean, I think possibly because I think it goes on your past history, doesn't it? And Flower's been out for a while, so he probably hasn't been up for a while, so he's only got 2 games. But I think it was Budebs at Hull KR a few years ago. I think it was it was on Shenton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think they upped the charge based on the fact that Shenton was going to be out for pretty much the rest of the season, I think. I must admit, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, if we're going to go on down that road, if someone does a bad tackle and the player's not injured, are we just going to let them off?
No.
Which is the other side to that, wouldn't it? I would say no. But I mean, it's an hard one.
I think you look in this day and age as well, how many knee injuries we get nowadays. You know, you get players missing months upon months, you know, like Shenton did with ACL problems, MCL. You know, the knee is such a fragile area, and can be injured so easily that tackles like that are so risky and so dangerous. You know, especially in the modern game now. Like, I think Flower has been let off his ban slightly. You know,
I think
got a lenient ban because I think part to do with the rules on. I think it came in behind the knee.
Yeah. And it was bent as well, wasn't it? I think it's something.
Yeah. I think, but regardless of the rules, that's still a dangerous tackle for me.
It looks
so dangerous.
And obviously, I was at the game, the press conference. Tony Smith come in. I think Tony Smith. Have you seen the interview with him? Have you seen it? I think Sky.
He was very diplomatic.
It was very diplomatic, but and he was quite calm as well. To be honest, but I mean, Staunton's only 21-year-old.
Exactly.
This is a 31-year-old going in behind him. But I think it's very telling that nobody asked Smith about the question about the tackle. He went straight in and mentioned the tackle before he was even prompted on it. So I think that probably, more than his mood at the time, I think that probably explains what he thought of it. I mean, obviously that was the first thing he mentioned was, he straight away come and said someone else is going to have to have a look at that without even being prompted. Normally, coaches are prompted. He went straight in. So I do think that probably tells us what Tony Smith thought about the tackle.
So you both got strong views on this. Firstly, at the actual time of the tackle, if it's an obvious one like you've seen at Wigan the other day, what's the punishment at the time? Is it a yellow card, a red card? What would?
I mean, I would, because I think it's really. I mean, obviously the video ref would be able to say a lot more about that. But can you really? I mean, we have video refs at some games, not others. Can you be adjudicating on yellow or red cards from? I'm not sure you can do that.
But it's something like a high tackle. You've got to judge as a referee if it's not on TV. If that's a red card or not.
I think if it's clear and obvious, I think probably yellow. I won't say red, but
clear and obvious for you. Is it
red for me?
Yeah,
red.
I'd say red. Like for me again, it's you are as a player, you've got a duty of care. Players have that duty of care to make sure that while yes, it's an aggressive sport and it's a contact sport, but you still need to keep players' health in mind, and that's why we've seen more severe punishments come in for high tackles. We saw it with Chris Hill and Sam Powell at the start of the season. For me, that was clumsy. There wasn't intent there. He was coming back to make a try-saving tackle and hit him wrong. We see it with spear tackles as well, when players are dunked on their heads, and that I think is the punishment for that's increased significantly as well in recent years. And for me, this is in the same sort of bracket, if not higher. You've got a player who's stood up and is just so vulnerable at that point. That's I think. In a tackle like that, that's possibly when a rugby league player is most vulnerable in a game, is when they're stood up by two other players, they can't move, they're held by the shoulders, they can't really move their legs, they can't drop to the ground, and someone comes in at the side of the leg, and that's why for me it's just awful to watch. And,
I agree with everything Jack said. I do agree. And
that's why I'd say it's a red.
And for me, I think Flower should be with Partington at the RFL, because obviously if it's a grade D, you have to go before the panel, don't you? It's 4 or 5 to go before them. You don't just get your ban, you go. I think Flower should be with him there but I just think it's probably going to be really hard for referees to be that sure that it was intentional, and it was I mean, if you can be sure, I'd have no problem. If you could be sure that there was intent there, I'd have no problem seeing a player get a red. I must admit, I just think that it's probably a hard decision for a referee to make. I think maybe I do think we've got the yellow card in rugby league. I think it's a good caution off. You go for 10 minutes, have a think about that. We'll have a look at it. You're probably going to miss the next few games. That's so. I'm not defending the tackles in any way. I totally agree with Jack, but I just think it's hard for the referee to judge.
So for me, I think it's sorry Ben, but I think for me it's similar to what we saw. Do you remember a few years ago we had the chicken wing tackle that suddenly started to come into play a lot, where players had bend opposition players' arms behind the back, and the RFL really slammed down on that. Brought
that come from the NRL. I think that was started there.
There were some really severe punishments for that, and it's gradually, because of those punishments, I think, gone out of the game. Players are seeing that it's. I think it was probably a bit of a tactical thing, to give a player a bit of a knock, a bit uncomfortable, and it's almost non-existent now in the game. We don't see it at all, really. And for me, it's because the RFL made an example of that. They said, right, players who are doing it are getting severe punishments, and for me it's the same sort of thing, because it's because for me a cannonball tackle is a calculated attempt at a player. If we make I'm never one for making examples out of players, but if we're making examples out of players who put in those tackles and giving them the severe punishments, it'll gradually make its way out of the game. I think,
and that's what we need.
We'll
make the coaches act. The coaches would stop it. I think. They know they're going to lose one of the key players for a few games. I remember Jeff Lehman did one against Leeds about 9 years ago. That was a bad one.
They crop up now and again, and often we see. I'd say 9 times out of 10 when they do crop up, it results in a serious injury for the player who's on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And we can't have that. We can't have players being put in those vulnerable positions where one simple hit on the lower leg puts them out for months.
It's
too dangerous.
And it's not the only tackle. We've got the crusher tackle as well. I think it's a really bad example. Brad Ferris a few years ago on Gildat. Gildat was out for a couple of months, wasn't he? So there's a lot of tackles that fit this category as well.
Well, even then, some of the crushers I think can be accidental.
Yeah,
you know, they can be deliberate, and there is again. I think we've seen that go out of the game somewhat because an example was made out of it. And for me, there's not been enough made out of the cannonball tackles just yet. You know, they get mentioned and players get little bans here and there, but there's not been enough discipline and enough punishment for me to. To try and eradicate it.
So how many matches should somebody who's guilty of a cannonball?
I'd say you'd put it on similar to what we had, I think, with certain the chicken wing and crushers and other things. I'd put at least 4 to 6, possibly pushing up to 8 and 10, depending on the severity.
I would go up to between like 4 or 5 games. Like I say, I think that's what Ollie Parsons is going to get. I think that probably would have been about right. Yeah, it was a nasty tackle, and like I said, even the whole entourage that I saw after the game in the media room, they were seething about it. If I'm brutally honest. I think Tony Smith was. I've said before, he was very reserved, but I think the fact he mentioned it without being prompted, but I think it's what he thought about it as well. So yeah, I think if Flower had got 3, I probably would have said okay. Yeah. I think probably deserved 4.
I think I'm probably on the side of I don't feel any rugby league player goes out on a field to intentionally injure someone, but I think when they're in the moment, I think just that rush of blood or that moment of recklessness is just
to be a risk.
Yeah. Sometimes the players can move as well. They can be moved round, and then to you target in the wrong area. I have to be brutally honest. I'm pretty ignorant about this. It's not something I'm really clued up on about the technical side of the tackles, but they just don't look good.
No. Well, let us know what you think, guys. What sort of punishment should it be on the pitch? Yellow, red card, and then the disciplinary more stern punishments need to be handed out. Let us know in the comments below. Please like the video and subscribe to the page to get more of these, and we'll see you next week.